What's going on, Stephen? You all right?
Yeah, I'm sweet. How are you, mate?
I'm all right. Shall I address you as Stephen or Professor? Because obviously I know you.
Sometimes people call me Mr. Professor. I'm like 2 titles. Wow.
Love that.
Stephen, sweet.
Yeah, or P. Dot.
Wow.
All right, so check it. I'm going to ask you some questions about, I'd say, a link between music and mental health. But I want to open it up with something that is ambiguous.
Right.
But I think quite revealing.
Okay.
What's your favourite shape?
My favourite shape?
I know what all Jay's answer would be. So, nerd joke right there.
Which I got.
Do you know I got into a whole Twitter beef with someone because I tweeted that lyric. I went, triangles are my favourite shape. 3 points where 2 lines meet. And this guy was like, you're such an idiot. That's completely incorrect. It's actually, he said it's actually 3 points where 2, no, he said like there's 2 lines meet at every, he went into this whole.
It's 1 point where 2 lines meet.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I was like, it's a lyric but that I understand.
No, it's not, because they say it's 3 points where 2 lines meet.
Yeah,
that's
3
correct.
points where 2 lines meet.
Yeah, so 1 point, 2 points, 3 points.
Where 2 lines meet.
Yeah.
I don't know what his argument was now, I'm thinking about it. How can you argue that?
Yeah, no, it was wrong. I was even trying to find his logic, but it was actually it's 3, because they say 3 points where 2 lines meet. And that's true, because at every point 2 lines meet. And my favourite shape is a triangle, by the way.
No, it isn't.
It is. My favourite shape is a triangle. I don't like squares.
Why?
None in my circle.
Are you
rapping?
Why do you like triangles? Is it because of that Alt J song?
No, I do like Alt J though. Yeah.
What is it about triangles that you like?
I just like the shape. I'm allowed to, aren't I?
Yeah, totally.
I'm Illuminati.
All right, so was there any point at which you decided the triangle was your favourite shape?
Literally just now when you asked me. I've never been like, do you know what I like about being interviewed sometimes, especially when they're like good interviews, is people ask you questions that you haven't been asked before, so you're made to think about things that you haven't thought about before. And I've never been asked. No one's ever been as courteous as to ask me what my favourite shape is, and it is a triangle.
What's your favourite colour?
Purple.
Why?
Don't know. It always has been.
Love that.
Yeah.
And then, what is your favourite sound?
My favourite sound? Do you know what I really like, actually? I've only ever been diving once, but you get to this point where there's a different type of silence, and it's not, you can't find that anywhere above water. And it was quite a scary experience because I was without a cage and there were sharks. It was in an aquarium in Chester. One of them was a lemon shark, and I was told that if I fell, a lemon shark. And I was told if I fell, not to put my hands up, because if it was above me, it's got a feeding mechanism. So like if little fishes, which to the shark I was basically a little fish, if they swim along its stomach, it just snaps, so it feeds. So yeah, they were like, don't put your hands up, because if you touch its belly, it'll just eat your arm.
That's wild.
Yeah, but no, there's a real peacefulness underwater.
Underwater? The silence of underwater.
Yeah, which is not quite silent, but you become really aware of your own breathing and your heart, and it's probably quite similar to meditation, I suppose.
Yeah, really similar.
Which I'm terrible at.
I've always found it quite fascinating that the human breath sounds the same as the ocean rolling in and out of the shore. What else makes you feel peaceful? What helps you to feel peaceful?
Creating, which is weird because it's quite a chaotic process sometimes.
It really
There's
is.
a lot of walking around and shaking hands and I'm nearly, and then you find the word and then you shake hands again because you're excited. But for me, that's getting everything that's inside out, and sometimes it's nonsensical and it's just because it's funny, but that's a good self-defense mechanism, which I think is probably quite telling.
Yeah.
You know, how do you disarm people?
It's catharsis, isn't it?
But it is, yeah, for me it is definitely. And I think anyone that has some sort of outlet, you know, for some people it's dance, for some people it's boxing, for some people it's painting, some people it's singing, for some people it's knitting. I'm sure my nan used to knit a lot.
Yeah, knitting looks really peaceful.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think being able to get what manifests inside out is really important, because when things manifest inside and we bottle them up, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and kind of all consuming, don't they?
Yeah, a little bit.
Which is quite a horrible place to be at. So when you can get stuff out, and I didn't even realise that via music I was kind of doing something what a lot of people who do CBT do, which is journaling, which is really important. But I was doing that via music for years without even knowing. So, and it definitely, I hate ending sentences on so. Really sorry. I started to realise when I do it.
End sentences on so?
So it's like an open ending to a sentence that you don't finish. It really annoys me when other people do it, and now I've done it.
But open-ended is quite good. It's welcoming. It's like a big sentence hug.
What, an open end?
Yeah. An open end is always welcoming. No, so you speak about creativity being a form of relaxation and also a chaotic process.
Yeah, and also the cause of huge anxieties.
But that's you being a creator.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel as though other people's creativity has an impact on your mental health, or good or bad?
Yeah, I was talking to someone about this the other day. Everyone always refers to cycles as, or from maybe it's just what I listen to, but people always tend to refer to cycles as being a negative thing, and people being part of negative cycles and not breaking the cycle. I grew up in a cycle that I wanted to break. My dad not being a present father, for instance.
Yeah.
Us having no money, no security, no stability. And you think about all those cycles, which quite often become self-perpetuating because people don't, they lack the self-awareness to take a look at themselves and realize that the reasons for their behaviour become an excuse because they're of an age where they can make a change.
Yeah.
It's just not easy. It's not the easiest thing to do. Have that long, hard look in the mirror and work out that if something keeps happening, you're probably the problem, not the other people. But then you can actually be part of a positive cycle, because when I was young and I used to want to run away from everything, I wouldn't run anywhere. I would sit in my room and I'd put my headphones on and I'd turn my music up really loud. And I'd listen to artists who told stories that I could half relate to. And you could tell they come from a similar place to where I was at, or they spoke about things emotionally that I could relate to. But they'd put themselves in a position where they could do that from other countries. So I'm listening to artists from the other side of the world who are talking about things that I relate to, who are now living better lives because they've found success through creativity, through music, right?
Yeah. It's escapism.
And actually I've managed to go on to become part of that cycle, because through all the traumas that I've been able to turn into positives through my music, I've been able to reach out and help people in the same way that the music that I used to listen to has helped me. And that's a positive cycle. And that's all about perspective, because I just, for a long time, I looked at the worst in everything, especially myself. And then, I just feel like I've kind of come out the other side of that, and realizing actually I'm part of a positive cycle is quite a good feeling.
Yeah.
And also just negative. The thing is, people talk about making the same mistakes over and over. At a certain point in your life, again, normally when you're old enough and ugly enough to realize what you're doing, you're not making mistakes, you're making decisions.
Yeah.
And bad decisions, but bad decisions by whose account?
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, we always guilt ourselves over stuff, but if you and I want the same thing at the same time, then bad,
Yeah, I hear you.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we want to go for a night out.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then we guilt ourselves because, I've got a hangover and I should be doing this, and it's time.
You're talking about the judgmental aspect of being a human.
But then how much of what you think of yourself is what you project onto other people's perception of yourself. Yeah,
I mean that's deep. That's a massive part of the mental health conversation.
But how much of you is you? That's what I find really. That's the aspect of it which I'm really interested in at the moment, is how much of you is you and how much of it is what you project onto other people's perception of yourself.
Well, it's you are naturally going to be a cauldron of other people's experiences.
But also it depends I could read a text message from you one day and it could piss me off. I could read it the next and it could not.
Yeah.
But it's just about where my head's at on that day. Yeah. Exactly. So we could have a conversation. I do something stupid and you laugh. You think I'm funny and you walk away thinking I'm funny, but I walk away thinking you think I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
So my idea of myself is what I've projected onto you and your perception of me. But that's got nothing to do with what you actually think of me, and everything to do with what I think of myself.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at the moment, trying to.
But even in that example, you've got quite far in understanding that it's you at the root, and you with the control.
Yeah.
And that's the main. That's where everyone's looking to get to.
But then I suppose it's what monks spent years doing it for, but it's trying to not attach yourself to every thought or feeling.
Well, I think one comment, and I don't know this absolutely, but one conversation I think is interesting is the difference between thought and feeling. A lot of I think a lot of conflict or internalized frustration comes from us being inauthentic to how we feel in a moment because we judge ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's okay to feel like that. So for example, if you said something to me that, because of my past experience and my own perspective, triggered in me a response. That to you would be a bit wild, but to me, it's very real.
Yeah.
If I wasn't to acknowledge truly that I feel like that and not judge myself for feeling like that, then you can just allow it to move through you, and that's authentic.
Yeah.
But if you feel I shouldn't feel like this, or if I respond like this, I'll be judged, that's when things start to get messy.
Confines of society.
Yeah, and you suppress stuff.
Yeah, you do though, and then it's mad with that. So if you, in another example of that is if you allow someone to do something more than once without saying something, and gradually it builds up because you let that person carry on doing something which is causing you a problem for whatever reason.
Yeah, you haven't set a boundary.
And then, but then when you respond, that person's got no idea. So it's like them doing it for the first time, but your response is completely disproportionate, which is why I just think, just be straight talking.
You have to. Well, that's actually what you've described there is something called toxic anger, which is that I did a course around emotional trauma, and it was one of those things is that they stressed, and it's called the bridge. It's phenomenal. They said they tried to stress the power of saying ouch, and doing it in a healthy, responsible way. Not being enraged. Just saying ouch, because you have to respond. If you don't respond, like you say, and it happens again and again, you end up with resentment, criticism. Yeah,
and all this stuff's happening inside you.
Yeah,
totally. The other person has no. It's why I hate such a terrible thing as well, because you walk around burdened with this feeling that is not even, and I guess there's a part of you at a point that wants the other person to feel a certain way, but they don't. Generally, people who walk around spending their whole lives pissing people off are generally quite blissfully unaware. So to have hatred towards someone really only affects...
You got to control what you can.
Yeah, it's your energy.
Or just submit to, surrender to what's outside of your reality.
And control.
But yeah, I mean, this is like real deep into it.
Well,
but
you wanted to get from music to mental health. This is like, I feel like I've learned so much in the past couple of years.
100%.
Like way more than but it took everything that led up to that to push me into a space where I really wanted to start to understand myself and my own actions and my decisions and my choices, because everyone's always like, leave it up to fate. But I think that's just that's taking responsibility away from you for your actions in a lot of instances.
Right.
I think there's a certain detachment from the self, which I think is quite healthy. Yeah. To feel at one with the universe rather than just allow it. To know that you're not the only one that's in, because your actions will only determine so much, but what we just said, you're not in control of someone else's actions. You can provoke them, but that's at a point where you've involved yourself in their actions, but you can't control. You should be responsible. Yeah, of course. No, I do enjoy being irresponsible. Well, as long as you are aware of that. Yeah. It's sweet. I was going to ask, so you talk about... as a child, there was an element of escape you found in the creativity of others. Is there a song that you'd say could bring you back to a particular time and place? Do you know what? More recently than when I was a kid, Where Is My Mind by the Pixies. Because I sampled it. And it came about last minute. I didn't know I had to do a cover for this live session that I was doing, and I only found out the night before, so I had to pick a really well-known song. So I picked that, which they were like, that's a bit left. Why do you even know that song? Because I used to skate. Assumptions. I used to watch and make skate videos. I listened to all sorts of stuff I couldn't tell anyone in the flats that I listened to. Otherwise, I'd have been a grunger and I'd have got bullied. Really? For real? Yeah, man. You're either like, I grew up in between the street mates and the rude boys, innit? And there was no real, like now it's different. The internet's opened everyone up to everything. Everyone can listen to everything without any kind of judgment. And I think the influences of that are coming through in everyone's music. I mean, yeah, hip hop's had like a bizarre grunge moment. Yeah, which is amazing. And grime has had a punk moment. But yeah, Where Is My Mind? I did a version of it which we called Spinning Out with Think, F-I-N-K. Yeah. That's not me being, me not pronouncing my THs. It's actually Think. It would be fine if you did. Well, I do and I don't. Sometimes I use my but I float between telephone voice and normal voice all the time. Depends who you're trying to impress. Yeah, really. And I learned early on the best way to communicate with people is the best way they understand. But yeah, back to that song. So the video never came out. It was always like the single that I felt should have been from the second album. And we used 3 years of footage to create this collage of just all these brilliant and amazing moments that I was lucky enough to encounter along the journey once I'd started doing well in music. And so because of that song puts me into all of those places. at once.
Really?
As well as takes me back to when I used to listen to it, and the Placebo cover of it.
How old were you when you first heard it?
I was young.
Really?
Yeah, I was young. I couldn't
just
tell
an
you when.
instant.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, straight away. You know what it's like with songs. You can't help it. You just hear them and that's it.
What do you think that is?
God knows, frequencies.
Yeah?
I don't know, maybe
Like
there's something that there's something you there's Something in the Way is another song that I love. Nirvana.
Yeah, shout out Kurt.
Yeah, mate.
Absolute king. In terms of emotions and the varied feelings that one experiences,
Yeah.
could you almost assign, say, a song that you'd listen to when you felt sad, when you feel sad, or a song that has popped up when you feel more happy, or these are very ambiguous terms.
Yeah, nah. Do you know what? That one song does both things. Green Day, "Time of Your Life." It's like so bittersweet because it
Melancholic.
proper. Yeah, it makes you think of times which you've kind of along the way just told yourself Chinese whispers about. Think actually has a really good line that is "Not everything was better in the past," which I think is really, really worth taking on board, because we do through, our memories become almost memories of memories, and we always tell ourselves, I wish I could feel like that. Conversations you have with yourself, I wish I could feel
Nostalgia.
like that again. But that goes back to kind of the bittersweet feeling of it, because it reminds me of times of old, but then I'm like, times of old was so much better than I wish I could feel like that. But actually, life's fucking sick now.
Yeah. So
there's been a lot of, but that's getting over. I think a lot of us have problems severing ties with people, toxicity. We spoke about toxicity. I think that exists in so many forms, and you kind of feel like an affinity towards people and situations because of where you were at a point in time. But that was a point in time, and it's not necessarily now.
That's what I find interesting though, because music I find can often attach.
Yeah.
Right.
Place and time.
Is there any songs you can't listen to anymore?
No. I don't share my music with the women I go out with. They're always my songs.
But you don't. You guys haven't experienced hearing a song for the first time together?
No. Well, me and Scribbler have.
I love how you just jumped to relationships there too.
Yeah, no, me and Scribbler. Yeah, no, but relationships can be friendships. Me and Scribbler heard "The Sky Was Pink" Icelandic version.
Yeah, but I'm asking, what song can you not listen to anymore?
What song can I not listen to anymore?
Because for me, like, I not listen to is quite full on.
Yeah, no,
I remember
song.
like there's a song by the Maccabees for me, "First Love," and I think it was like a painfully mushy like teenage romance where we made some kind of hand dance.
Oh my god!
And I was like, and I love the Maccabees. I listened to the song, but I just can't.
Build new memories with the song.
True.
But then it's not always bad.
Or Two-Faced Kisses, just.
I'm trying to think if there was so the James Blake version of oh my god, what's the song? It's off his first album, and it's the Jody Mitchell song. Case of You.
He covered that.
Yeah, mate, it's fucking
that comes
beautiful.
on every time I plug my iPhone in.
It's an absolutely gorgeous song. It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful
that was
song.
I think it was played. I should know this, really, shouldn't I? But I think it was the song that was played as we left the church or as we walked into the church. But I don't have any bitter memories of it because I heard that song before the day I got married. I don't really have any.
You have no song you can't listen to.
I have no song I can't listen to.
There's no shame in that. I could listen to Maccabees if
there's nothing that I can't like. There's nothing I feel like if I put that on that's going to take me out of where I'm at. But if I feel a certain way, I will go and if I'm sad, I don't want to hear happy songs. I want to listen to sad songs.
Yeah, you want to feel the frequency.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because I think that, and I didn't realise that at the time, but then learning things, that's about being okay with how you feel. It's not saying I'm not going to feel like this. It's saying I'm going to double feel like this. I'm going to be sad. I'm going to listen to sad songs. I'm going to get the sadness out.
It's an acknowledgement of how you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
I really want to try and talk more just about the connection there between music and memory, because I do think it's really powerful.
Yeah.
And Pixies is dope.
Biggie, yeah. One More Chance remix. Heard it first at Roller City or Roller Express in Edmonton, whatever it was first. It was called both at different points. But so I'm just skating around, probably playing Bulldog. I was a really good skater.
Really?
Really, really good skater. But I remember hearing that and what is who is this? Because all the kids in my flats, all the older kids, used to listen to Jungle. Jungle was massive in East. Jungle was just massive. That was just massive at the time. I never really knew what was wrong with their faces when they come back from there used to be like a thing on, I forget what was it called? I was too young to go, obviously. I was on Leeward Road, but yeah, they'd all wander in. We'd all be out early playing in the flats, and they'd wander back from these raves, and we'd be like, what's wrong with their faces? But yeah, we found out later on in life, Jesus. Yeah. So yeah, Jungle was big, Helicopter, 138 Trek, big up DJ Zinc. What else takes me back? So now that was my introduction to Biggie, who's still my favourite rapper today. I remember my dad had, I watched Above the Rim with him, and he had Regulate on CD single, but it had a B-side as they did back then. And the B-side was Pain by Tupac. And that's a prominent song for me because I heard that with my dad.
Yeah.
You know, but he supported Tottenham, I supported Arsenal, he played Tupac, I like Biggie.
Yeah.
Maybe it was all just me having one big tantrum. It wasn't.
Are there any lyrics that you've written yourself that I find that often I figure things out once I've written them? I think we were touching on this before. It's like journal, catharsis. Yeah. Have there been any moments when you've written a lyric and thought, I didn't know I felt like that until I wrote it?
Yeah, but I can't remember the lyric. That's so annoying because as soon as you said it, and I should really know it because it's one of my favourite things that I've written because of that reason. And it was the third verse on Today I Cried. And I can't remember. Yeah, you have to. I'd need to hear it to get into it. But
so also I do have. I mean, look, we don't have to go through these, but I do have one of the fantastic team has printed out some of your lyrics.
Okay.
Just in case I forgot some of them. It's quite difficult to. It's like a sieve with you. So anyway,
Explain.
Well, it's just you have to filter out. Anyway, so here's one. The most recent, like your proper single vibes.
Yeah.
One Eye on the Door.
Right. Yeah. Do you know that's what my publicist used to call me?
What?
Big up Phoebe Sinclair. She's, was more than a publicist. I met her as her being my publicist, through her being my publicist, and then we just became pals. And she goes, you always got one eye on the door, you, ain't you?
Really?
And I said, I'm going to use that in a song one day. And lo and behold.
Really?
Yeah.
What is that? Why have you got one eye on the door?
It's just, it's always a way out.
What's
exit? In case of emergency.
Is that a fear? A fear that's...
It's not, no, I'm just like, I think it gets to a point where you end up with one eye on the door in certain situations.
Happy wife, happy life, but I like stress.
Yeah.
I don't know why, it just seems to be that whenever there's upset, I operate at my best.
Yeah.
Explain.
Self-sabotage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, grow up, chaotic start to life, chaotic household, chaotic upbringing, chaotic everything, chaotic relationships. Like if a relationship, there was definitely a period where if a relationship was calm and everything was quite linear, albeit there should have been content, it wasn't because I was looking for that chaos in everything, and that's the problem. Yeah, I thought I wanted calm.
You need it.
Yeah, but I was feeding off of the chaos. That's a really, I've definitely worked that one out.
That you need chaos?
Me. Well, no, even still. But I think if there's no point really in looking for calm outside of you if there's chaos inside you. You got to deal with that chaos.
Right.
And disruption. And I just started I write for a website called The Book of Man. And
I've seen these.
The column I'm writing right now is called The Big Red Button. And it's all about the looming red button, which is the self-sabotage button.
Yeah.
Which is always there.
I know that very well.
Everything's sweet. So what I'm going to do just to shake things up a little bit and so I can get back in the studio and create shit, because all of my stuff comes from chaos. I'm going to push the red button.
I'm literally working through this in therapy right now.
It's bullshit. The creativity and the inspiration can come from positive things in your life as much as it can, and you can still talk about the negative without having to be completely bloody consumed by it.
You sure about that?
I am sure about that, yeah, because I'm doing it at the moment.
Brilliant.
Life's sweet.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very real...
I can say that out loud, and I used to be scared to go, I'm happy. Imagine that. I'm scared to say I'm happy because I'm worried about what's around the corner.
Where do you think that comes from?
From so much shit happening when I was younger. That's, I'm not excusing it. I'm just like, that just is what it was. It was always, there was a real fear. And do you know what it was as well? It was anxiety. And it's, people always talk about intuition and trust in your gut, and I can do that now, but for a larger period of my life, and for the larger part of my life, I couldn't, because how can you trust your gut if you've always got a knot in it? And that was where it come from, and that was what made me feel frantic. That was what made me feel unsure. That was what made me question myself. It was all the anxiety that come from the childhood that I had that I'd never really dealt with.
And do you feel like you're in a better place in regards to your anxiety now?
Yeah, much. I don't wake up with it every day, but your anxiety, it serves a purpose. But fight or flight happens to us all too often in the lives that we lead now. So to undo everything that happened, but also then kind of get perspective on life, and when worry is important and when it isn't, is really difficult.
How have you managed to cope with anxiety? Have you developed any strategies, any mechanisms?
Yeah, I find that being kinder to self is a really good start. And for me, that was like less drink, less drugs, less stressful friendships, relationships, people that I knew I shouldn't be giving time and effort and energy to. You know, sometimes you'll see a phone number come up on your phone and it gives you anxiety. Cut that
Pay
person.
attention to it.
Yeah,
that technically is your gut.
Cut that person off. Yeah, but then sometimes there's so much of it there anyway that it's just like, how anxious am I today?
Yeah, and you think of it as informing you.
Yeah, but then it's having, again, what we were talking about earlier, and just severing ties. You can't feel like, if you're no good to yourself, you're no good to anyone else. So there's no point in trying to help everyone if you're not doing what's right by you. But you have to work out what's right by you. You know, that's no one else's job, really. You can seek help to do it, but ultimately, I think we all know
what's right by us.
I think we.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think that doesn't mean we always make the right decisions. It doesn't mean we always think what's right by me. I'm going to make my decision based on that.
I feel as though we sometimes forget when we talk about self-love and self-care and self that the reason why we have communities and have the ability to converse is essentially just to share knowledge.
Yeah, but we don't do that. We're individualists. We share what we got up to. We share who we shagged. We share who we got fucked with on the weekend. We share what we just bought. We share, you know, what money we're making. We share our problems. We share so much, but we don't generally sit down and have conversations like we're having now and share positive things.
Why do you think that is?
For positive reasons, because we are raised in a society where we're kind of taught we have to look after ourselves, and in doing so, we don't look after others. You know, it's how we deal with things. You can even see it in the press, right? So right now, there's this whole thing around knife crime and street violence and everything, right? But that's deemed a problem for a certain part of society, not society, when actually that's a problem for the whole of society. But we're so individualist that, you know, if you're not involved in it, then why'd you give a fuck? It doesn't affect you till it affects you.
But you do believe that we benefit as a society from being more inclusive in how we discuss?
Definitely. Like we talk about, so, you know, I hate statistics, I prefer the people behind them, but if 1 in every 2 families who come from disadvantaged backgrounds or broken homes, who's bringing up those children? I was lucky, I had a great grandmother. Not every broken home has a great grandmother. Some of them just have mums that have to make a decision between working and having enough money to support the child, or emotionally supporting the child. If they don't give both, where does that child find emotional support and validation? Quite often in the wrong places, because they're growing up in, you know, a worse environment than most people are exposed to, and then become desensitized to things because things are normalized that should never be. Yeah,
I could talk about this for a while with you. One thing I would like to ask, because it's quite heavy when we speak about this stuff, and I often find, my personal opinion is that I think mental health also there's a stigma attached to mental health, and that it's inherently negative, that it's a struggle, it's always difficult, that it's an illness at times, and it can be. Yeah. But part of me, I'm just investigating this as well. This isn't part of me, because I you know, ADHD is probably what affects me the most. I've experienced depression and anxiety in various degrees, but I almost now at the moment I want to embrace a bit of, I'm not sure if I agree with normal. Yeah. You know,
what is normal? And again, but that comes, so with ADHD, I think it's much that, was it ever your problem, or was it a problem for,
I mean, it's honestly like
other people? We know what we were talking about earlier, and about perception,
and fix into an ideal.
You're not like me, so it's a problem. It's a condition. But why? Again, are all conditions negative?
No. But I just,
there's great.
what I really want you to do is, there's a few bits and bobs. I know you. Would you say you have OCD as well?
Somewhat, yeah.
Is there any, like, can you tell me a funny story? that is to do with mental health. Do you know what I mean? It's just like...
Do you know what? So if I get really busy and I get really stressed, then my OCD is more prominent. And my OCD tends to present itself as hypochondria, right? It doesn't reach mania, but it definitely, you know, I'm not manic, but it definitely reaches hypochondria, and I can definitely have periods of panic, which would be called episodes.
Right.
I was on tour. Starts every bad story ever. And I had sex with a girl in Germany. I used a condom. There was no other contact. The condom didn't break, nothing.
Yeah.
Come back off a tour, 2-day break. It's a weekend. I'm at my house. I get really sick. Glands up everywhere, puking, really, really ill. But it's only a couple of days after.
Yeah.
Dr. Google, bad idea. Don't ever let Dr. Google tell you anything, because it's either cancer or AIDS. Right. And I didn't worry about cancer. So I find, my doctor was at my wedding, which tells you how many times I subsequently went to see said doctor. And so I'm like, shit, man. Because I didn't sleep about much. I was pretty like, I was Mr. Monogamous.
When was this?
This was, I don't want to put a date and time on it. Listen, I'm being pretty open here. Just deal with it.
Yeah,
right?
I hear you, bro.
So I go to the doctor, I explain everything. Did you have any oral sex? No. Did the condom break? No. Definitely no. Right, so what are you worried about? He's like, you've got a viral infection. I was like, yeah, but like, and he just started laughing. He was like, well, listen, I can give you a test, but not for 4 weeks. It's like, 4 weeks? He's like, yeah, you won't get accurate results for 4 weeks. So you're going to have to, that 4 weeks of my life was spent going between, I'm being an idiot, the doctor said I'm being an idiot, to you've definitely got something really serious. Wow. And it's not like, I weren't worrying about chlamydia, like I was catastrophizing, which is something I've done for a large part of my life as well. Which all ties into my mental health problems. So I'm like, shit. Obviously, have the test and fine. But then, like, it just, that opened up a whole can of worms. Because, yeah, you start reading into things.
I remember you talking to me about this.
But then, do you want to know the funniest thing about all of that? Is that after I had the test, bearing in mind I'd spoken to Rince about this, and I lived with Rince and Anthony. And he goes, oh yeah, bro, like, it's mad. The week before you come back, I had the same thing.
He just gave you a virus. Love that. That's wild.
Thanks for the 4 weeks of panic and the subsequent visits to the doctor.
Well, it's good that you can look back on it and
also just take care, man. Take precautions. Prevention is better than cure.
To be fair, there was responsibility embedded in that story, and ultimately,
I took responsibility.
Yeah,
I was responsible, so I didn't need to be at the doctor panicking or spending the next 4 weeks panicking.
That is funny.
Maybe I shouldn't have told that story.